This could be very bad news for the Toronto Raptors, as a rumor's going around that OG Anunoby may want out of the Toronto Raptors organization. And this rumor was sparked by a report on his podcast. Bob McCowan, some people may know him. He used to work for TSN. He now runs his own podcast. He basically has come out and said that I talked to an NBA insider yesterday, and this is a guy I've known for a few years. And he tells me that OG Anunoby wants out of Toronto. So that's the quote. That's what has sparked this rumor. And Raptors Reddit, Raptors Twitter, they've been doing investigations. People are split on whether or not this could even be true, whether or not people should be taking it seriously, or, if it's, where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's been a lot of smoke about OG Anunoby wanting out or being disgruntled, being on this team. So I'll dive into all of that in this video. And it's going to be a little bit more disjointed than our regular sort of setup, than our regular sort of vids with the chapters and all that. But I'm feeling emotional. I'm feeling riled up because I don't want to see OG Anunoby traded. That's just where I'm coming from. That's my stance on things. And, I broke down a video on us turning down 3 first-round picks for OG, so that's one thing that could go against it. But, let's just dive into the rumor, why it could be legit. Because, firstly, Bob McCowan does have his feet dipped into legitimacy. I don't want to call him a legit reporter, but he has been on credible news networks. He's been on TSN, but he's not a guy that's really around the scene these days. He has a podcast that performs decently well on YouTube, and he makes comments. Some people say he's controversial. I don't listen to much of Raptors media other than the actual games and stuff, so I don't really know what his takes are about the team, but he's a guy that has a name that is known, and he could very well have some actual NBA sources. But this alone wouldn't have Raptors Reddit, the Raptors community all up in all just stressed out, as I'm feeling about right now. And people have been doing some investigating, and this guy, who's also an analyst on YouTube, he used to work for The Score, does his thing, but basically said he did some digging and inquiring in who the source may be. And I will say this one is interesting. And someone asked, does the source make McCowan more believable? And just responded with a straight yes. And this is coming from S. Fyandar. Apologize if I'm butchering the name, but looked into at least his videos. He's made content for The Score and stuff. He's not just a random Twitter account, but again, not an insider, not an official reporter, not a Woj, not even like a Josh Lumberg or a Michael Grange or one of these guys. But, so he's saying that he did some mild digging and it makes the source a little bit more interesting. Again, McCowan, this dude, they could be going out for more clout chasing and stuff. But the Reddit detectives, they will not sleep if they're young Prince, if they're young OG Anunoby could potentially want out, right? If he could potentially want out. And I'm giving out everything that I've seen over the past while. I'm riled up here at this point. But basically, people have brought up an article from the summer. This is a report that a lot of people know. But Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report basically said that OG Anunoby grew dissatisfied at times last season in Toronto, given his role, especially where Pascal and Scotty Barnes given a bunch of touches, and Fred VanVleet was the primary ball handler. And again, this was prefaced that OG hasn't directly expressed discontent with the situation in the Raptors, but perhaps a conversation around him. It's been more external interest acquiring, people trying to trade for OG Anunoby. So that's something that was a big storyline over the summer, right? OG Anunoby being disgruntled with his role. Is it true? Is it not? He kind of laughed it off at the summertime reporting sessions and all that sort of stuff, right? He sort of said, hey, this is nothing. This is not a big thing. But it was sort of weird comments were made by Nick Nurse and Masai Ujiri about how if OG Anunoby wants that bigger role, then he has to do this, he has to do that. And those subtle comments kind of gave legitimacy to OG Anunoby being dissatisfied. And now people are bringing up old quotes from Nick Nurse's book that he put out regarding, the Toronto Raptors' experience coaching and stuff. And basically the highlight part, OG Anunoby complained to me after one practice that Fred VanVleet kept coming back to him and demanding the ball. That's what point guards have traditionally done. Look for an outlet pass and take control of the ball. I'm sure that's what Fred had been trained to do since he was a kid. But I saw OG Anunoby the next day, and I was walking to my room, and he said he's still doing it without stopping. And I try to praise criticism ratio of 6 to 1. So OG Anunoby in this book, essentially Nick Nurse came out and said that he was a bit disgruntled with Fred VanVleet shooting the basketball a little bit too, or coming back, calling for the basketball, trying to have the ball in his hands a little bit too much. So people are saying OG Anunoby could legitimately be disgruntled, be mad about his role, especially where Pascal Siakam, his touches have dramatically increased over the season, and OG Anunoby's kind of getting similar amount of touches as he did last year. So could this be legit? Could this be legit? I just gave out a bunch of reasons why some Raptors fans are stressed, and I'll dive into why it would be bad if OG Anunoby wants out, ahead of this trade deadline. But we do have to take it into consideration that this is a rumor. Bob McCown could legitimately not have sources, right? People could be digging into things, looking for clout and all that sort of stuff. Not to throw accusations out there or anything like that. I don't know. I'm speculating here. And this is not a regular Raptors Digest news video. This is just pure speculation and me wanting to get the stress off my chest so I can go to bed and I can speak to you guys about it. But there's definitely reports, there's definitely been smoke about OG Anunoby potentially being disgruntled, but he laughed it off the summer, right? Things seem to be fine, even though there was weird comments made by Nick Nurse and Masai Ujiri, right? Things could be all swell, and OG Anunoby hasn't publicly come out and been disgruntled, but another thing that could potentially go against it, and we sort of made the assumption when CJ McCollum came out and said that players on the Toronto Raptors he's heard are disgruntled, but he won't say who because of tampering and all that sort of stuff, made a whole video on that a week ago. We assumed that was Gary Trent Jr., given he used to play with Gary Trent Jr., and Gary Trent Jr. was brought off the bench, and we speculated into that, but if other NBA players, especially a guy like CJ McCollum, who would probably know, being the head of the NBA Players Association, and a guy that's, has connections to the Toronto Raptors through Gary Trent Jr., if OG Anunoby's disgruntled, right, he could be potentially throwing that out there, and, OG Anunoby would be a perfect fit for that New Orleans Pelicans team, so Raptors fans, and Raptors came out explicitly and said they were mad that he was kind of tampering and stuff, so, maybe they're trying to push for OG Anunoby there. There's a lot of reasons why it could be legit and why it might not be, but I'm just laying out everything that I've seen in this video. That's all the context to what's going on. Now, my opinion. OG Anunoby is a guy that I don't want traded. I mean, his stats this season, they speak for themselves. OG's averaging 17 points per game, 6 rebounds, shooting 36% from the three-point line, 2 steals a night. Defensive Player of the Year conversation, especially when the Raptors were playing a little bit better early on in the season. He is legit. He's on a good contract. He's a perfect complementary player you'd want as a player on the team. But if he does want out, right, and the vibes have just not been right there with the Toronto Raptors, it's visible on court. And people making assumptions it's other guys on the team. But if OG doesn't, he wants out. He is at peak trade value right now. He hasn't been hurt this season, and he's been hurt for a couple times over recent years, right? He's playing the best defense we've ever seen of his career. He's slashing a little bit better. He's made improvements to his game at this point. And, it doesn't seem like he's going to become like a number one option on the squad. So he has maxed out how good you can be as a role player at this season, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So if the Toronto Raptors want to sell high, which we know Masai Ujiri has done in the past, right, sell high on guys in order to get the maximum value back, it would be an ideal time to do that. So, if he wants out, if he is properly disgruntled, if he is requesting to leave the Toronto Raptors, we just made a video about how the Raptors turned down 3 first-round picks for OG. There's a high demand for OG out there on the open market. There's so much parity in the league. OG Anunoby could really be a game changer for any sort of franchise in a potential trade package. So, if Masai Ujiri can get a haul back for OG, maybe it wouldn't be that bad of news as I've thrown in the thumbnail. But again, when a player's disgruntled, you lose some of that leverage Masai Ujiri currently has on the open trade market regarding OG Anunoby. And a meme thing people are bringing up about it is how Michael Grange reported how Gary's the leak stuff is leaking about Gary Trent Jr., so it's likely OG Anunoby because people just leak fake news to Michael Grange. I don't know. And maybe I'm reading too much into this. I'm not trying to pretend like I have any insight into the situation beyond what the public has, beyond what the Twitter investigators have. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation down below. Right? so riled up. I'm so caught up into this. Didn't even get the sponsor read in there, but I don't even know a good way to transition it. It's 12:30 at night. Just coached a game of basketball, but if you guys, especially with the OG Anunoby stuff, looking to make a bet on a future for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, OG Anunoby, what are his odds to stay on the Toronto Raptors? A minus 175. If you don't believe the rumors, hammer that thing down to speak some good, put some good auras out there into the Raptors community and the Raptors energy. But the Knicks are there, the Dallas Mavericks, these different teams. But definitely check out the Coolbet Sportsbook. They're sportsbook regulated in Ontario. They're available all across Canada. You can bet on every single Toronto Raptors game, NBA game, or any sport in general. So definitely check them out down in the link using the description down. Using the link down in the description below. Right. Shout out to Coolbet. They've been supporting the podcast for a long time. If you are into sports betting, genuinely recommend you guys check them out as a sportsbook. But folks, let me know what you guys think about all these rumors, about everything we have going. You guys, I'm stressing out here. I'm probably overreacting, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But I'm signing out. Also, we hit 27,000 subscribers, so I appreciate that. Probably should have mentioned that at the beginning, too. I'm all over the place right now, so appreciate everyone that subscribed to the channel. Lots of news to come, lots of vids on the way, but you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.